If you're brand new to lightsabers, maybe you're looking to get your very first one, you probably have a lot of questions. For instance, what is NeoPixel? What is SN Pixel V4 Pro? Is it the same thing? Is it different? What is RGB? What does baselit mean? What's a sound font? What is flash on clash? What's sensitive smooth swing? A lot of questions for newcomers to this hobby. And I'm glad you found this video because I'm going to be answering those questions and showing you the difference between Premium, Super, SN Pixel V4 Pro, and then also going through a little bit of what each one can do. So let's begin now. Over the last few months, I've reviewed 3 different lightsabers from NSABERS.com. And they sent me 3 different hilt designs with 3 different configurations. And the first one was the Tano SE. This actually came in a pair, 2 of them, but I'm only going to have one on display here. And this is using what's called Premium RGB. They sent me the Temple Guard SE. This is using Super RGB. And lastly, they sent the Obi-wan SE. And this one is using the SN Pixel V4 Pro. So 3 different names, 3 different configurations, 3 different styles. But we're going to talk about what's inside. So what does Premium RGB mean? First, let me take out the actual core in here, and I want to show you what it looks like, and then we can compare it to the other ones. So this is the Premium RGB Core that NSABERS.com offers. So what does that mean, Premium RGB? RGB means that it's red, green, blue. So if you have a look at the top there, you'll see that it is basically an LED lamp. And that LED lamp has 3 different diodes, 1 red, green, and blue. And that's how it produces color. So the blade will be hollow, and it's going to shoot a beam of light down the blade, illuminating the blade. If you have a look at the soundboard, so this controls everything. Think of it like a motherboard in your PC. It's not just for sound. This will also detect the motion of the lightsaber when you move it. It'll do the different effects. Everything is controlled by that little board right there. And that board is Premium RGB. Premium means that you'll have 16 different sound fonts. So what is a sound font? A sound font is a character or a set of files to create a sound of a lightsaber. So for instance, let's have a listen here.
Dark Sith Red.
So Dark Sith Red. So that sound font will be a Dark Sith Red style of lightsaber. Everything from the way it sounds when you're holding it, to its ignition, to swinging it around, to blaster. It's going to sound different than, let's say, Palpatine, or Anakin, or Obi-Wan. So that's what a sound font is. And this one has 16 sound fonts built in. On the back, you'll have your battery, your charging port, and your speaker. So that is Premium RGB. Turn it on. And without blinding you, you can see that it's shining the light onto my hand there. It's very bright. And these are really good for dueling, or if you're just getting started and you don't want to spend a lot of money, Premium RGB is good. So I'm going to put this back in, and we'll move on to Super RGB. So this is the Super RGB Core. So having a look at it, right away you can tell the difference because you have a micro SD card on that soundboard. You still have your lamp on the top there, and of course your battery and your charging port. So what does a micro SD card let you do with Super RGB? So rather than having just 16 sound fonts that you can't change and you can't add anything to, Super RGB lets you add more sound fonts. So right off the bat, you get 27 sound fonts included, and then you can go online, and there are different shops online that will sell sound fonts, and you can also find free ones as well. So you can add more sound fonts, 20, 30, 40, 50. You can add more music. You could change the language files. So for instance, if you're a French speaker or you don't speak English and you want to have your language in a different language, go ahead. You can do that because it's all stored on that micro SD card. Another difference with Super RGB is that you have a Bluetooth module that has been installed on the soundboard. That means you can use the Force Park app on your phone or tablet, as long as it has Bluetooth, and connect to your lightsaber and control it, and you can adjust the color and you can change the different blade styles. It's very cool stuff. That'll cover it for Super RGB. So let me put this one back in its hilt. And finally is SN-Pixel V4 Pro. Now, an OBSC lightsaber is a bit of an oddball compared to, for instance, if you were to get the SN-Pixel V4 Pro in here or the Tano, it would look different than this. And this one uses a removable core, and it's very small because the rest of it is built into the hilt. They have to use wiring through this little skinny neck to get to the emitter. Now, if you have a look at the emitter inside there, you'll see that there's a bunch of pins. And those pins are going to attach to a NeoPixel blade. So a NeoPixel blade will have 3 rings on the bottom, and each of those rings makes contact with strips of LEDs that are built into the blade, and that's red, green, and blue. So that's what those 3 rings do. So we'll have a look at the soundboard. So it's similar in the sense that it has micro SD like the Super RGB. It'll also have 27 sound fonts. You can also add more sound fonts and more music and customized language files. You can do all of that as well. You do have Bluetooth. This uses Force Park V2, so it's a slightly different app, but same idea. You can load your sound fonts, listen to them, and change sound fonts, set your blade style, and adjust volume and all that stuff. As well, you can also create new effects. And this is still pretty new, so you'll be able to create more and more new effects as time goes by and they release new updates for the soundboard. We'll start by having a look at the Premium RGB installed in the Tano. So you do have gesture control. You can turn the saber on and off by flicking your wrist. You can change your sound fonts.
Star Killer.
You can play background music. There are 3 different tracks. You can adjust volume.
Mute. Low volume.
So you have high, low, and mute. And you can also switch your sound fonts using the button. You can turn on background music the same way. So let's turn on the saber. So you notice that it's brighter at the base and it's going to be dimmer towards the tip. I'll switch color so you can see blue. So yeah, you can definitely tell it's brighter, and that's just because it's more powerful. As light travels, it's going to get dimmer. Now, sensitive smooth swing. Sensitive smooth swing means that when you move the saber, it makes a sound in accordance to how fast you spin it. So if I go slowly, it's going to sound like that. Now if I go faster, so it responds to every movement. Lots of sabers, I shouldn't say lots, but there are cheaper sabers out there, especially something in the $20 range you find on Temu. They're not going to have sensitive smooth swing. They're just going to basically make a sound effect every time you do that. But they're not going to respond to that movement. And I totally recommend getting a lightsaber with sensitive smooth swing. It's a must. Blaster deflection. You have a lockup effect. Switching colors is easy. You can use gesture or you can use the button again. Your blade style, so there's a unstable blade. There's a pulse blade. I don't know if you'll see it, but I'll try to put my hand in front of it. Kind of breathes instead of just being solid. And then back to solid. Now with Premium RGB, it's not going to be able to remember the color for each sound font. So General Kenobi, I'd like it to be blue, so I'd have to switch it to blue. A nice dark blue, right there. So that's the only thing with Premium, is that you do have to manually switch the color when you switch sound fonts. Not a huge deal, doesn't take forever, but it would be nice if it remembers. Now what remembers the color? Super RGB. So let's check that one out. So with Super RGB, you're going to have the same type of gesture controls. Switching sound fonts. But now, when I switch a sound font, it remembers the blade color. Again, you have sensitive smooth swing. You have 3 levels of volume.
Low volume.
I can change the voice, so I change the voice to something I like a little better. Background music, again, same thing.
Pulse. Unstable.
So the biggest difference between Super RGB and Premium is the micro SD card, which allows you to have more sound fonts and more music, the Bluetooth control, and the fact that it remembers the color for each sound font. So yellow, set to yellow.
Mute on. High volume.
And finally is SMPixel V4 Pro with a NeoPixel blade. So at the bottom of the blade, rather than being hollow, you have the 3 rings. And those 3 rings will touch the pins inside the emitter. And inside this tube are LED strips that run all the way back and forth, surrounded by a foam core or foam tube. So it is heavier, but it's going to do some pretty cool stuff. So let's check it out. So SNPixel stands for Super NeoPixel V4 Pro. It's just a label or a branding that this company uses to label their NeoPixel. So V4 Pro, just for short, you're going to have those 27 sound fonts. You'll have the micro SD card, as you saw, the Bluetooth control, gesture control. This one will remember the blade style and color for each character. You can adjust volume, background music, all that stuff. Difference is, you notice that you have the ignition effect because the LEDs light up the entire blade. And you can switch colors quickly. Blaster blocks show up on different parts of the blade because it can. You have sensitive smooth swing. And you have something called accent swings. When you swing it fast, it produces a different sound effect. And that just adds to the immersion of it. You have melt effects. You have lockup and stab, force effects. Well, I hope this video answered some of the questions you might have been having. If you do have any questions that I missed, drop them in the comment section. I'll try to answer you as quickly as I can. Also, if you found the video helpful, please give this video a like. Liking a video helps YouTube recommend it to others. If you want to see more videos like this, more lightsaber reviews, tutorials, things like that, subscribe to my channel as well. And if you want to get notified whenever I release anything new, tap on that bell and you'll get a notification. Until next time, I have been your host, the Frugal Jedi. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you soon.